Something really interesting is happening on social media right now. The whole influencer playbook, the one that's all about promoting the next must-have product, well, it's getting flipped completely on its head. Today, we're going to dive into the really powerful rise of de-influencing. So let's just get right into it. Have you ever been scrolling your feed and just felt this wave of skepticism? That little voice in your head that wonders if that glowing review is for real? Well, you are definitely not alone. And that exact feeling, that's the engine driving this massive shift we're talking about today.
So what does all this growing cynicism actually mean for that multi-billion-dollar influencer economy? I mean, could this be the beginning of the end for the way things have always been done? Let's take a look at the signs.
And to be super clear, this isn't just some little niche trend we're talking about. The hashtag de-influencing has absolutely exploded with over 76 million views on TikTok. That's it. It's a huge mainstream conversation now, and it signals a really fundamental change in how we consume content and, more importantly, who we decide to trust.
You know that feeling of being just totally overwhelmed and skeptical? It actually has a name: influencer fatigue. Yep, it's a real psychological state, and it's brought on by that constant, endless stream of promotions. It leads to serious burnout, not just for the creators, but for all of us watching too.
But okay, what are the real root causes here? Why is this happening right now? Well, the data paints a super clear picture of why our collective trust is kind of falling apart.
Now here we go. The number one concern for consumers? A huge lack of transparency. Almost half of us, 45%, are just tired of trying to guess if a recommendation is genuine or if it's just a slick, well-disguised ad. And right behind that is overpromotion, which, let's be honest, just tanks an influencer's credibility.
Now this is what's really fascinating. The research here shows that influencer fatigue isn't just about us being bored with ads. It's a full-on emotional response. It's a deep-seated cynicism that leads to active resistance against the very thing these influencers are being paid to promote.
So out of all this collective burnout, this powerful counter-movement has started to bubble up. It's a totally direct, organic response from people who are just looking for something, anything, authentic in a sea of promotion.
And that's where de-influencing comes in. It's a really simple idea, right? It's all about telling people what not to waste their money on. It's this deliberate move to just cut through all the hype and rebuild trust by giving brutally honest, critical, and frankly, really useful advice.
And this just lays it out perfectly. Traditional influencing has always been about creating desire with that constant message of, you absolutely need this. De-influencing, on the other hand, builds a real connection by saying, you really don't need this, and let me tell you why. The goal isn't an immediate sale, it's all about long-term credibility.
Okay, so we get the concept, but how effective is it really? Let's get to the data, because the numbers prove that this trend has some real, measurable power to change our minds.
Okay, get this. Data from civic science shows that a negative review is actually more powerful than a positive one. A critical take sways 67% of us, while a glowing one only gets 60%. It makes sense, right? In a world just saturated with hype, a little dose of reality is what really cuts through the noise.
So here's the kicker. The impact is even clearer when you look at what people actually did. In the last 6 months, de-influencing convinced a full 25% of people not to buy something. Meanwhile, good old-fashioned influencing only convinced 18% to buy something. The conclusion here is just inescapable. De-influencing is literally more influential.
So who's listening to this message the most? Well, it's the most engaged users out there. We're talking about daily TikTok users, people who already have a pretty healthy dose of skepticism, and anyone who follows a bunch of different creators. They're the ones who are most likely to be swayed by a really honest, even negative review.
So what all this points to is a pretty fundamental and probably permanent shift in what we value online. The old ways of measuring influence are fading out, and a whole new set of rules is taking over.
So here's the bottom line. The currency of influence isn't hype anymore, it's trust. In this new world, true authenticity, proven credibility, and just being genuinely relatable are what really matter. For creators, telling people what not to buy isn't just a trend, it's fast becoming a crucial survival strategy for building a loyal audience.
Which really just leaves us with one last question to think about. In this world that feels more and more commercialized every day, who do you really trust for honest advice? And when it comes down to it, what does it truly take for anyone to earn that trust from you?